My Legal Club provides full legal support when you require it. Enjoy savings and rewards all year round when you don't. You do not need to be a member of My Legal Club to benefit from free legal advice from our highly recommended specialist solicitors. When you or a loved one requires legal advice and a solicitor, we can help you in every area of law. We also offer a unique alternative. Sign up to our free trial and you will receive up to 25% off legal fees, 15% off legal documents, £20 restaurant vouchers for leading UK restaurants, savings and rewards with leading UK brands, a free online will, free dash cam and much, much more. As an example of how we help our members, they have saved on average over £500 plus by using My Legal Club for personal injury claims compared to many solicitors who deduct 25% of your compensation. If you or a loved one needs legal support, contact us at mylegalclub.co.uk for free consultations and no obligation quotes with highly recommended solicitors. Sign up to our free trial to receive all the free discounts and our membership benefits. Welcome to the MLC Show in association with My Legal Club. I am your host Sean Rogers and I am delighted to be joined by Jimmy Slomka. Last week we looked at avenging the nutri-bo. This week we are going to look at strategies to enhance your well-being, a healthy lifestyle and a healthy diet. Jimmy is an MNU certified nutritionist coach and part owner at Primal Training Club. You can get more information about that at primaltrainingclub.co.uk, and Jimmy is well worth a follow on Instagram at Jimmy Slomka, where you'll get loads of great insights and tips. Jimmy, from my own point of view, I don't want to eat like an Olympic athlete. Well, if I'm on the Usain Bolt, hundreds of chicken nuggets diet, I'd probably take that, to be fair.
It's a lot of barbecue sauce, that.
It's a lot of sauce, isn't it? I don't want to have a short-term view like with a fad or a crash diet where I'm sort of yo-yoing. I want to try and create a lifestyle. And people listening to this may be saying, look, I want some flexibility. I want to be able to enjoy my food, operate in a budget and it be convenient. You know, I haven't got 3 hours to go and get expensive fresh food and cook like a gourmet chef every day. Dead easy start for you, obviously, but where would someone start?
Well, I think you've made a good point there about enjoying your food. Like, food has no moral value, and it's there to be enjoyed. And as soon as you attach like rules and restrictions, then it starts to become less enjoyable. In terms of flexibility, I think it's important to realise that like no single meal can make you any more healthy at the time of eating. So you need to look at the wider diet. So going out with friends and enjoying a meal like from time to time should be part of your sustainable lifestyle. But to reach that point, it's going to take time. So you're going to have to learn to prioritise things like protein and veggies, and then eat for preference, but also maybe start to develop an understanding of your own like hunger and fullness cues. And in terms of budget, like a lot of people feel that they need to eat organic or, you know, homegrown food or locally grown food, which can be extremely expensive. But actually, when you look at all the research, there's no evidence that organic food is any better for you than conventionally farmed. So it doesn't actually matter.
So I've heard a lot about calorie deficits. I'd like you to expand a little bit on that for us. You know, trying to eat 5 fruit and veg a day is bloody hard, to be fair. And you know, there are substitutes. I've heard a lot about, you know, trying to eat the same kind of thing, but a healthier alternative or a slightly worse alternative, depending on the type of substitute that you're going to use. Obviously, we just alluded to it then, but I want to be able to, you know, take my little boy to the cinema as an example, and if he wants to have a Burger King, I want to be able to have that without feeling any guilt, without having to count sins or, you know, or even without having to actually count the calories exactly myself. I mean, how would you go about striking the right balance actually sort of Monday to Sunday?
Well, there are like many ways you could achieve that goal. So I'm going to talk about tracking first, because there's generally 2 methods of tracking and non-tracking, and then the methods that fit within those. So if you were tracking your food, you could use like a flexible dieting approach. So you could potentially set up your diet so that you're allowed to have higher days and lower days. Or you could take a broader approach and maybe...
Is that higher or lower calories?
Yeah, basically. And then you could probably track, you should take a broader approach and track weekly calories to give you even more flexibility. So that if you did like lose your shit one day, you could probably, get it back by, eating slightly less on a couple of other days. So it does give you that flexibility. But then I guess what you're concerned with is like some non-tracking methods. So you could do something like, skipping breakfast, or as people like to call it, intermittent fast. That can help to reduce calories spontaneously. Again, you could prioritize protein and veggies because they're going to fill you up. So it's food volume. And then you have the freedom to relax on that night out. So you're under less pressure to pick a healthy meal, and you could just literally eat whatever you wanted within reason. And then there's another couple of techniques you could use. So you could go like low fat or low carb on that particular day, or leading up to that event where you want to go out for a nice meal with friends. So you can just relax a little bit more. You could even like reduce snacking or liquid calories, but they all work. They're all like methods, and I guess they're all tools to have in your toolbox. So you don't necessarily need to live by, it's an intermittent fast, and live by it. You can use that as a tool every now and again just to help you spontaneously reduce calories.
So yeah, I want to run this past you. So something that I try and do, and genuinely have your honest views on it. I try and sort of view Monday to Friday, and then at the weekends I want to be able to go out with the two kids, and as all kids are, especially mine, the only predictable thing is their unpredictability. So where I'm going to end up, where I'm going to be, and obviously as is the law, on a Friday or Saturday night you've got to have a chippy tea, haven't you? That's just
and a beer.
And a beer, of course. So I want to make sure that without tracking the weekend, I can kind of, maybe have a normal breakfast, so to speak. But in terms of the days and the night, I kind of want to be able to do what I want to do. There's a few little cheeky things that I did with, switching up beers for like gin and sugar-free lemonade because I've got a sweet tooth rather than slimline tonic or whatever. Also, if you it also hits you a bit harder, which is nice if you're only having a couple of drinks. And then Monday to Friday, I would try and be pretty disciplined. But what took me a very long time was trying to kind of find the lifestyle balance of that. In that there were loads of breakfasts and lunches I could have, but the reality is I just didn't like the taste. So it was horrendous, and I just wasn't going to do that long term. What's your view on that kind of approach, where maybe, if you're not tracking, as an example, you go, right, Monday to Friday I do X, and then Saturday, Sunday I do Y?
Well, I think there's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of people lose their shit at the weekends. And if you're going to lose your shit and just go crazy, and you've been very restrictive throughout the week, you're probably going to end up with some sort of like binging episode at the weekend. So you've just got to be careful that all the good work that you're putting in through the week isn't cancelled out by just a crazy weekend of food and booze for 48 hours. But it can definitely work, some good habits, some good behaviours, but just being more aware of what's going in at the weekend, I think, rather than just, going all gung-ho.
Turning to exercise, the old me would probably say to you, look, I know I should exercise, but, and you can smell the butt coming, I've done my back in, my knees are in bits, I'm starting to get on now, so, I need the WD-40 just to wake me up and my joints. I'm getting up in the morning knackered, I've got to somehow get ready for work, kids need to get ready, they're all going off in different directions, then I'm stuck in traffic, then I work all day. Then I've got to get home and sort out childcare, sort out teas. Then you've got all the bedtime routines to fit in and everything else. Then at some point in time, I've got a bathroom. I've got to try and get my own stuff sorted as well. Oh, and by the way, we want to be in bed like relatively early to then get up again. And then we're going to repeat. I'm skint. I don't want to do it on my own. And then I've got the hassle of finding somewhere to train, spending the money on it. I'm going to get sweaty. I'm going to hate it. I'm going to be horrible. The sweaty changing rooms. Everything's got to go in a bag. Then I'll be sweaty going to work. This just sounds like a nightmare, and a lot of washing, endless washing. I would take the view, where am I finding the time, money, energy to do this? I know I should exercise. There'll be people listening to this that know they should. No one can dispute that. But the science is that, and the data is, as we've referenced in the earlier shows, we're not being as healthy as we should be. We're not living the healthiest lifestyles we should be, despite all knowing what the facts, and we have unlimited resources to prove this now. What's your advice?
Well, it's a tough one when you put it like that, but I guess like trying to balance You know, your career, work, children, you know, it can be a bit of a roller coaster. But I'd maybe begin to like reframe the situation. So looking at it as, you know, you should be grateful that you first of all have a body that can exercise and a body that can look after your children in the way you want to do and race around and all these things. But I think like you could also make yourself a priority, and by dedicating set times of the week to work on you specifically would help massively. Like you probably feel guilty initially because obviously you feel like the requirement is to be there for your kids and they come first. But actually, when you realise why you're not making yourself a priority, i.e. you're putting other people first or you're too busy, you'll start to get some newfound like self-awareness. It can be quite liberating. And the other thing is you could create a support group. So start to look after each other's kids for only like an hour a week, and like a couple of you could go to the gym, vice versa. So you're creating that time, but you're also getting some social interaction. And then making like increased physical activity, so that's stuff that's not planned exercise, making that a priority. So learning to increase your NEAT, or basically walking more. And that's all going to help. They're all strategies that would help.
Yeah, I think certainly from my own point of view, I think the thing that changed for me is a lot of people will probably say, oh, well, I put my kids first, you know, I put the family first, or I put my work first. All these things get in the way. And then I suppose you don't make your shoulds, your musts. And I think until you put yourself first, the others aren't going to get the benefit from that. Because you could be the greatest mum, dad, business partner in the world, but if you're in the graveyard, you're not much good to everyone, are you?
Exactly, yeah.
So by putting yourself first, and by putting yourself hopefully then in such a great state and certainly higher energy levels, everyone else is going to reap the benefits of that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I think also you will always do more for other people than you would do for yourself, wouldn't you? You know, I know quite a few people who have changed the habits. Even some people have given up smoking actually when they've had kids. So actually they knew what the risks were in smoking, but it wasn't until they saw the kids and thought, actually I
want to live a bit longer.
I want to live a bit longer for them.
Move around a bit more with them,
100%.
Not be out of breath.
Yeah, a few things that I did that might be of use to people out there listening. You know, I used to always have excuses for not actually going out with the kids. It could be the weather, especially in this country, but actually just going out on the walks, things like I had a lot of work calls and stuff like that, so rather than sitting down at my desk, I'd actually just go out and walk, and you'd be surprised at the mileage, especially someone like me who's a chatterbox, how many miles you can put in when you're doing a call. But I think probably the best thing with exercise is I would always stop and not do it because I wasn't finding the right thing to do, because I'd always been in team sports. And I think obviously, you know, look, I train with yourselves, I go to Primal Training Club, and that's something that I've been able to keep that sort of longevity with, because it works for me, and that it balances, you know, being part of a team with also having that discipline. But I think for other people, you know, you might be able, you don't have to play, you might be able to go to your local football team. If football's your thing, you can go and train with teams. They'd be grateful to have some people coming down to do that. You could speak to people in work who might want to do something at lunchtimes, and that could be as simple as actually running.
Yeah, sure.
In your dinner times, couldn't it? Or getting up earlier, getting out to the gym and getting back before the kids need to do the school run and everything.
People just don't think they have the time to do some of these things. So even as something as simple as going to the toilet on a different floor in your building is going to mean you're going to walk more during the day, right? Your boss might not be too happy about it, but basically there are ways you can get around these things. Like you don't always have to make an excuse. You just need to maybe look at the situation with a different mindset. Totally.
I think, I completely agree. I think once you make a should and must in anything in your life, that is a huge change for you. And I think then you can go, look, there are people out there who get up at silly o'clock and do this kind of thing. You could alternate with your partner if you're lucky enough to have a partner to help out. If you're a single parent, there might be times during the day with childcare or whatever, where as tired as you are, if you make it your thing, that is what you're going to do, especially if you do it with other people who are as committed to it, then you know, I think definitely
that support network's quite important, isn't it?
Yeah, it becomes a proper habit then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Jimmy, I wanted to really delve a bit deeper into this for people to get a proper structure and idea of a plan. So people might be listening to this going, look, love what you're saying, really want to get started, but I just do not want to start. As we said last in the last show on nutri-bo, there's so much garbage out there. Can you give us an idea, what would a typical day or week look like for, you know, someone with kids, or dead busy with the job, they've just got no time? I know that people have specific needs like allergies and stuff, but generally, can you give us an example of a kind of food plan?
Well, that's actually quite interesting, actually, because it's so individualised that it's actually quite difficult to give a broad brush answer. So diet-wise, I would say that most people would benefit from regular protein intake, plenty of fruits and vegetables, and then generally eating for taste, preference and enjoyment, because food is to be enjoyed after all. And that's going to help you stick to your diet, so whether you can adhere to your diet.
Is there a time of day that would, in terms of like protein, before I ask you for examples, does it matter when? So is it kind of like, look, actually, you'd be better off doing protein in the mornings, or is there an impact that some people might be listening to this, eat at 9 o'clock at night as an example, but then they want to go to bed?
Again, that's probably a very individualised thing, but to be honest, as long as you're consuming regular food, it doesn't really matter too much. But I think if you're eating more regularly, you're going to help to kind of develop your hunger and fullness cues, which is what a lot of people don't do, because they restrict their food maybe during the day, and then find that they're binge eating later on in the evening, and it's uncontrollable and they're overeating because they're not really learning when they're hungry and full. They're not recognising those signs. So I think
that was my problem, having the big portions at like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night when you come in.
Yeah, but again, there's nothing wrong with that if you're not going to then overeat afterwards. If you're going to go crazy, then there's a problem there, isn't there? It needs to be, and generally you can reduce those incidences by eating more at more regular time intervals. So maybe 3 larger main meals during the day, like protein heavy. And then maybe less snacking, because obviously snacking can be problematic. It's very easy to mindlessly overeat biscuits, cakes, sweets, chocolate, all that sort of stuff. And then the other thing is, like in terms of exercise, like we've said before, prioritise it. Because even if you don't shift a pound of body weight in a year whilst you're training, just exercising alone improves your health. So irrespective of whether you lose any weight or not, you're improving your health massively by exercising and training. Yeah,
something for your mental health I found was quite interesting. Even if you were only, regardless of what you were doing, just actually doing the extra rep, so to speak, or just doing something that pushes you through from a mindset point of view. I found that made a big change to your mental health, that all the sort of pressures and struggles from the day, all the things that can feel like they're weighing you down a little bit, you can almost just release some of that tension and stress and just that 100%. Feeling of pushing through. And you might have only been in the gym, you might be at home, you could be running, you could even be walking, and just doing something to extend that to feel like you've pushed through at the end made a big difference. In terms of, an example, if I can throw some examples in, if you can critique me on that basis. I found that actually stopping what I had on my desk in work and actually having the ability to say no to people in work was helpful, because it certainly when I was working in an office environment, the amount of amount of chocolate drawers and sweetie drawers that are going around. Yeah, the
it's
office
hard to
cake,
resist, isn't it?
Certainly if people have gone to the trouble, by the way, of bringing stuff in, or especially making stuff themselves, it's difficult to kind of.
I know there's one guy at our gym who's, I'm sure he's banned that from work now, and they have a fruit bowl. So if anyone wants to snack, it's fruit only. Pretty cool idea, but.
Yeah, no, totally, and I think. The thing that made the difference for me, which I know my brother's exceptional at, to be fair, is actually preparing properly on a Saturday and Sunday. And you can even make that fun with the kids in terms of also budget. For me works perfectly. Sure. And if you can do your own packed lunch as an example,
meal prep.
And you're in control of it, so you're not going, I've got nothing to eat, I've forgotten to bring something, I'm struggling for time, I will just nip to the Greggs, or I will just.
And also that's really cost effective, isn't it? Because you know what it's like. If you're going to nip out for lunch, it can easily creep into like 10, 12, 15 pounds if you're not careful for a lunchtime.
Yeah, with ease. Obviously my examples are mainly Liverpool and Manchester based, but by the time if you go out and buy yourself a coffee as an example, and then buy yourself some kind of sandwich, which is actually in the red for fat, salt, sugar.
And you're going to probably want more than just a sandwich as well, aren't you?
Yeah, and then they push the meal deal for you, so you get the crisps or you get the chocolate bar, whatever. Whereas opposed to that, you do your packed lunch. You know, I use substitutes which work quite well for me. You know, I did things like the Warburton's protein bagels. Yeah. So that instead of me just having a white bread sandwich, I would have a protein bagel with whatever, you know, chicken, things like that. Just prepare it ready. Bananas, get the fruit intake up. I would take in, you know, a protein shake for my lunch because I'm just not that. I'll be honest, I'm not that good at getting protein in naturally. So it would really help me. And the big thing that helped me from mental health and from a diet point of view was making breakfast a much bigger priority for me. I would get up earlier and make sure that I start the day on a real good level with a healthy breakfast. You know, you've given me tips and ideas on that in terms of, you know, porridge, but putting additional items in there. But, you know, I know some people like to put, say, honey in there as an example. You can chop up bananas or whatever, put them in there. Fruit,
nuts, seeds, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I would have a protein shake as well in the mornings, and that would. I'd find that honestly, I would have breakfast and be hungry at 9. Like when I eat, I can eat, you know, I have a big appetite, but I actually found that I could get through to lunchtime totally fine. And then my packed lunch was cool as well because I wasn't so hungry that I was finding that it wasn't even filling a hole, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
And just other little tips like obviously water.
Yeah, exactly. Stay well hydrated,
Water
really
was a big difference to me in terms of kind of, I wouldn't be shy. I mean, I've even been in some big meetings where I would still go in with my bottle of A&B and water and have no issues with that at all. And then as soon as it's empty, go and refill it. Maybe not in the middle of the meeting, perhaps. But there are things you can do, and I wouldn't worry about what it looks like to other people because I honestly, I've been in so many different places, so many successful people that do weird and wild, wonderful things when it comes to it doesn't matter if it works for you.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's important. I think you just have to find something that works for you. You know, with some kind of like global guidelines, as it were. But we've talked about like fruits, veggies, protein, stay well hydrated.
I was going to say, I struggle with protein. Can you give us some examples of how could I get more protein in at breakfast, lunch and tea? Give people listen, how would they do it?
Breakfast, like you've said before, you could have like protein porridge, so you could add some protein powder to porridge, add a few berries, seeds, you know, nuts, whatever, make that more of a meal. Or you could go for something like a higher protein yogurt. So a lot of the yogurts out there aren't particularly high protein, but there are some very good ones, and you actually feel quite full from them because they're not the easiest thing to eat, but they are very tasty. I think there's a couple out there like a 2% fat and a 5% fat version that are pretty good. So you're going to get around sort of 9 to 10 grams of protein per 100 grams. So that could be like 3 to 4 like large tablespoons, maybe slightly more than that. And that's going to get you around sort of 25 to 30 grams of protein at breakfast. And again, you could just throw in some berries, some seeds or whatever on top, just to make it more of a well-rounded meal, more palatable.
Say we're doing a packed lunch, give us some ideas for getting protein?
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with like sandwiches. So, you know, sandwiches are a staple really. You can have an extremely healthy sandwich. So, you know, sort of tuna, sweet corn, low-fat mayo, that sort of thing. Or just chicken and salad with whatever flavouring you want on that or whatever sauce.
What's your take on bread, Jimmy? I know a lot of people who say, look, I can't go near the bread. It's like stapling it to my stomach.
We shouldn't hate on bread, to be honest. Like even like what you would perceive to be poor quality white bread is still fortified with vitamins and minerals. There is still some nutrition there. There's macronutrients and micronutrients. It's just that the whole low carb thing has been blown out of proportion. There's nothing wrong with eating bread. You know, most people love bread, love toast. Why would you want to give that up? Like, seriously?
Totally.
Like, I'm not going to.
Yeah, totally.
Peanut butter and jam on toast, winner.
And then tea times, okay. So I think, don't know what you think, I've spoken to a few people who think they struggle with portion size at tea time because you've had a stressful day, you're starting to feel tired. A lot of people would either have the glass of wine or whatever. At that time of night, a lot of people reach for something that's comforting.
Yeah, sure.
So that could be the point in time where you have the biggest meal of the day. That could be where maybe you overeat portion size. Could be where you have the wrong type of dessert, perhaps, if you've got a sweet tooth.
So again, you probably set up your meal with like choosing like some sort of protein portion. So, you know, fish, meat, whatever, and then some veggies and then some like starchy carbohydrates around that, some potatoes, rice, whatever you want to go for, whatever's your preference. But I think a lot of people in the evening, because they've had such a stressful day, you can be distracted. So having like a distraction-free meal and slowing down, no phones, no television, no computer, just you, your food, and the company that you're with can help you to like really get more in tune with how full you are. And there's no requirement to
actually talk to your partner at night time. Wow.
Yeah, there's actually no requirement to finish all the food on your plate.
Yeah.
Like, actually the satiety signal gets sent from the brain to the gut and back again. It takes about 20 minutes. So if you're wolfing your food down in 5 minutes time, it's no surprise you're still hungry, because that signal's not reached there yet. So slowing down, distraction-free meals, putting your knife and fork down, more chews per mouthful, all these sort of things, they sound really simple, but they work.
Yeah, they do actually work.
And people are often like talking about, I feel so bloated from the food I'm eating, but you've probably just eaten too fast. Slow it down. And learning those sort of things over time, they're not going to happen overnight, but learning to do these things over time are going to help you massively.
So hypothetically, would I be right in suggesting that you could potentially buy fairly cheap, you could even go reduced bags of veg, peas, sweet corn, you could go sweet potato fries, you could do them yourselves if you had the time, but if not, you could potentially buy sweet potato fries,
sure,
as an example, and you could do fish, chicken, and just blitz the veg in the microwave, put the oven on for 20 minutes, deal with the kids.
If it's convenient, then do it. Yeah, I mean, we know that like even tinned veg is even, can carry a lot of nutrients. There's nothing to say that that's unhealthy. Frozen veg as well, again, something that's really easy and convenient to use, and readily accessible. And there's if you need to use your microwave, use your microwave. It's for convenience, isn't it? It can help to cut down time and meal prep.
That's it for this week, everyone. Thank you, Jimmy, for being such a fantastic guest across the 3 shows. As I say, Jimmy's an MNU certified nutritionist, coach and co-owner of Primal Training Club. If you want any further information, please do check out primaltrainingclub.co.uk. If you want to ask for any further information on ideas with exercise, nutrition, please do get in touch with them and Jimmy. You can get Jimmy on Instagram at Jimmy Slomka. On next week's show, we'll be looking into the mentality of nutrition and well-being with leading NLP coach and MLC Show regular George Cunningham. Do not miss that one. He's got some pretty embarrassing things planned for me, so if you want to giggle at me, which I'm sure you do, make sure that you get involved. In the meantime, please share and spread the word about the MLC show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please hit us with a 5-star review, and remember to check out the products and services at mylegalclub.co.uk. Please stay well and take care. The Business Services Club is a unique business-to-business brokerage. When you need a service for your business, or you want to compare your existing business, get in touch for free and no obligation quotes. We have created a specialist panel of commercial partners to support your every business need. We will provide you with free and no obligation quotes via the free to access Business Services Club. As an example, you may need EL, PL or professional indemnity insurance quotes, forensic accountants, self-employed bookkeeping, funding, working capital, interest-only lending with no personal guarantees, employment and HR support, web development, training, legal advice, or even online marketing. No matter what you and your business require, we will meet your needs. Free up precious time researching and analysing new or existing outsourced partners via our one-stop business solution. See how we can help you and your business via businessservicesclub.co.uk.